What is up, everybody, and welcome to the All-NBA show powered by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com/All-NBA. I'm your host, Adam Mares. I'm joined by my esteemed colleague, Tim Legler, who's on the road, ready to call some games. Where are you at and how you doing, Legs?
I'm in Charlotte, man. I'm good, Adam.
Right.
Charlotte, Cavs, Charlotte tonight. Interesting. Charlotte's made it to primetime national TV game. So they've played well, man. They've had some good wins. They're an exciting team. I'm looking forward to the game. Really, really fun games last night, though, to watch while I was here prepping for that game. I certainly had on League Pass and was checking out some other action. There were some really interesting games last night.
There really was, man, and I actually can't wait to get your take, especially on the Rockets-Spurs game, which will be our game breakdown we'll do in just a moment. We'll also talk Nuggets-Lakers, and then some big scoring performances. Quickley and Keontae George had some big scoring performances. We'll get Legs' take on that. But we're going to start with some bad news, Legs, some actually horrible news, and that is that the Warriors might be cooked. The Golden State Warriors, who have already had a tumultuous season, lost Jimmy Butler on Monday to a torn ACL. Devastating injury. I mean, honestly, the headline we put on here is like, where do the Warriors go from here? And I'll be honest, I don't have a take because I don't really understand how they can pivot from this. But first, your initial thoughts when you saw the injury and saw that it was a torn ACL.
Brutal, man. Brutal. Anybody that goes down with this injury, with the experience I had with it, I just get sick because – and, of course, you don't know immediately what it's going to be. Sometimes it looks worse than it is. I thought Jokic was, going to be dealing with this, and it turned out he was going to be out like a month. So this one, you don't know. You go by the player's reaction when you're watching it, and you're like, right away, I think, the first thing I think, what the next year of this guy's life looks like.
Yeah.
That's where my mind immediately goes. Because, you feel horrible for him. You miss the time. This Warriors, obviously, we're going to talk about that. Like, what are they going to do now? I mean, you talk about the timing of it all, too, for the team and where they're at. But I immediately just start thinking, man, this poor guy, for the next, certainly 9 months, like the grind that he has ahead of him, particularly at his age, it's even harder to make rehab, like after surgery, your full-time job. But that's basically what he's looking at for the next year. And so, it's obviously going to dramatically affect their chances this year, and they were starting to play a lot better. It also carries deep into next season. So that's where they're at right now. And you could see it reflected in their performance last night. Yeah. Just really, they're emotionally, they weren't there. I'm still reeling from this and figuring out how they're going to finish the rest of this season without Jimmy Butler. And the Toronto Raptors just absolutely put one on them last night. They could not stop them at all. And I think it was just as much emotional as anything.
Probably right on that. And the emotional response is understandable because, like I said, Legs, I don't know. To me, it feels weird to ever write Steph Curry off and Draymond Green off. Just that's how much faith I have in them. But the season that they've had, all of the different pieces of it, we'll talk Kuminga in a second. To me, I look at it and I go, yeah, this team, I didn't really believe in them before. And there's no way for me to believe in them now. I think they're actually now a bad team. Not like mediocre or they fallen a little bit. I think they might be a bad team now.
Well, listen, the metrics kind of point to what you're saying when you look at the turnaround that the team had a year ago when they acquired Jimmy Butler. There's no denying it. And it's kind of unusual because you're not talking about a guy that comes in and every night's 25 to 30. Like, he's not one of those type players. There are nights when you watch him, he's actually pretty selective and quiet offensively, but there was no mistaking his impact on Steph Curry's game when he got there, his impact on their team, their toughness, their mentality, their ability to get to the line. Went from one of the last in the league to top 5 the second half of the year when Jimmy Butler was in Golden State. So you can't deny the impact that Jimmy Butler has, whether or not you think like watching him every night, like you're feeling it in the moment. Like this guy's dominating this game. It's about a style and a toughness. And then most importantly, and he got worn down last year when Curry went out in that Minnesota series, and Jimmy Butler himself was dealing with some stuff. So he couldn't dial it up when they needed to get through that series. And they lose 4 straight games with Jimmy Butler really as their best offensive player when Curry went out. He wasn't himself, but typically you expect him to be even better when you need him to be later in the year. And that's kind of what they were counting on. And that's what now you go, how do you replace that? Like the swagger, the edge, the confidence that you have when he's playing with you, and knowing that, hey, man, and his best is going to come later.
Right.
Playoffs, and now all of that's gone overnight. There's no quick answer. Ironically, Jonathan Kuminga, who hasn't played in a month, you put him in last night because they need bodies and they need scoring. And he plays 21 minutes and has 20 points. The guy's been sitting there for a month. He did the same thing in the Minnesota series last year.
See if we get legs back here. Might have lost him for a second. I think the thing I look at with these two guys, are you back there, Legs?
There you go. Yeah. I'm just wondering if this is going to change anything with regard to Kuminga, knowing you're not going to have Butler, and they just don't have a lot of offensive scoring talent on this team. So I'm really curious to see the impact there. And just how does this team keep their head above water? And even if they keep their head above water, what does it mean for a first-round playoff series or a play-in type series for the Golden State Warriors? Like it just looks like there's no way they're going to be able to overcome this and be a real threat this year and get it. If they get out of the play-in or they're in a first-round series, hard to imagine them taking on one of those top seeds without Jimmy Butler.
That's exactly it. They already were in the 8th spot, so you assume, okay, even if you win your play-in game on the road, which, by the way, is going to be against a tough opponent because the top 7 in the West, I think, are all legitimate teams. Maybe it's the Phoenix Suns, the LA Lakers. That's a tough win. But even if you get it, congrats. You probably got San Antonio, Denver, or Houston, one of those 3 teams, maybe Minnesota. So really, really tough first round with Jimmy Butler. Without him, I just see it as impossible. And here's the big thing, Legs, is when Steph Curry is off the floor, we remember what a disaster it was before Jimmy Butler arrived last year. They would just get smoked, run off the floor. They bring him in. This year, they are plus 9.6 net rating when Jimmy Butler is on, but Steph Curry is off. And that's huge that you had an option to go to that you could survive. And that's a good sample size, by the way, almost 600 minutes on the season. So it was a good sample size of, okay, we had somebody that can help us win when we rested Steph. No longer, and I just don't know where they go. Let's go to the Kuminga piece of this, though, because last night before the game, Dunleavy was asked about Kuminga's trade demand, and he kind of used a turn of phrase in his response here, where he said, well, for there to be a demand, there has to be demand, meaning demand in the marketplace, which, first of all, incredible line, just a great line, like quick-witted, but man, is this situation just ugly. He just comes out and says, look, nobody wants him.
Basically, listen, you talk about the all-time buyer's market for a player. When you have kind of made your feelings known, the frustration level has been palpable for a long time with him. And then you finally reach the point, maybe you thought it was going to be over the summer because of the way his season ended, barely playing, not really involved in the playoffs, ends up having to play, plays pretty well. Then you come into the fall, he's still on the team, and you go, wait a second, he's our starter now. You go from that to we haven't seen him in a month. And so obviously there's not a lot of demand for Jonathan Kuminga. Some teams might think that, hey, he's only 23 years old. Maybe there is going to be some sort of a maturity kick in at some point and a consistency kick in with just consistent running time, playing time, but it's no doubt it's a buyer's market. So I don't know what that does to affect. And is it even more so now that way that Jimmy Butler went down? Because now, they're like so desperate. Think about that. Think about this. If you take Kuminga out of the mix, which they clearly had, without Jimmy Butler, who's their second best offensive player? Brandon Pajemski? Moses Moody? Buddy Hield, who they've been really
Yeah.
frustrated with this year. Like, this is with a drop off from Curry.
Man, that's a drop off.
And now look at the way he's going to get defended every night. Now you talk about a guy like, his upper 30s that doesn't need to get mauled every trip because they can go somewhere else with the offense. Now I don't even know how bad he's going to get worn down without more help offensively. Kuminga's the big piece that they have. And it sounds like, according to Dunleavy, there's not a whole lot of interest right now for Jonathan Kuminga, and we're not that far away from the trading deadline.
It's a tough spot, man. I'm writing him off. And then on top of that, this is late January. That injury is going to take a year, take a very long time. This goes into next year as well. And you're at a point with Steph Curry and his age that every month matters. Every season matters. And you might be talking about 2 now that get thrown away or just cause you to be in such a negative position to negotiate anything to try to make your team better. It's so tough. We'll see what happens with Jonathan Kuminga. I predict he has good numbers over the next 2 weeks leading up to the trade deadline. I'm not saying I almost said he's going to play well, but I don't know if he'll play well, but I do think he'll have great numbers.
Well, I think he's going to do both. I think he will play well and have great numbers. I think the guy has proven that when he does get consistent time, like he's a fairly efficient player and he will score, and he's going to have flashy moments, and he gives them a level of like size and athleticism on a wing that they just don't have. So the opportunity is going to be there for him. They don't have a choice. He's going to play, and actually it's smart to play him if you are trying to trade him and see what he can put together here, over the next couple of weeks, man. They don't have a choice. He's going to play. He's been in this spot before with them where he's come out of the, solitary confinement and come in there to produce. So I expect him to produce. I don't know if that's going to trade or change his trade value very much, but it's the only way they can continue to stay remotely competitive is to play him, because they just don't have enough bodies. They don't have enough scoring. Jonathan Kuminga is their second best natural scorer outside Curry if Jimmy Butler's not playing. That's just a fact. So they're going to play him. We'll see how it goes. It's gut-wrenching for Jimmy Butler first and foremost, and then for the organization of Steph Curry right after that, because they were doing everything they could every night to like stay in the mix, and this is going to be tough, man.
Last one I have for you on the topic. Is this a cautionary tale in today's NBA about relying on old players? Because we all like the story of some of these guys, LeBron playing up in age. The league, though, the 82-game schedule, the game is played so fast right now. It's spread out. There's a lot of movement. Part of me looks at this and says, I kind of saw it coming. You could put a bunch of old players together. One of them is going to get hurt. You got the Clippers, with a bunch of old guys. We'll see how they survive the season. But is it just – are teams foolish if they're going to put 3 36-year-old players together on one roster and try to make it through 82 games?
Yeah, it's tough, man. I'll tell you one thing. Like, Jimmy Butler's the type of guy, because of his game, the way he plays, very strong base, kind of a grounded game. He's not a high flyer, and he's not like super forceful on his jump stops and change of directions. That's when you see a lot of these injuries take place. He doesn't seem like the prototypical like athlete that would be prone to something like this. So it's kind of surprising that it happened. It's a fluke thing. The play is a complete fluke the way that it went down. But at his age, man, and look, this is a guy, and I was curious just going back and looking at it. If you look at this, man, like his games played throughout his career, starting really 2016-17. So 10 years ago, he played 76 games for the Bulls. And his numbers up to that point, pretty good. 67, 65, 67, 82. I mean, since then, 59 games, 65, 58, 52, 57, 64, 60 back-to-back with the Heat, 55 last year, and it's going to stop at 38 this year. So, I mean, he's typically in the 50s games played. So he's dealt with a lot of stuff throughout his career. Nothing as devastating as this, but yeah, so he's already kind of been prone to injuries, and now he's 36. He's a physical player, so that does have a wear and tear component to it. So yeah, I think to your point, man, it is like you're constantly kind of like probably getting through games. If you're Steve Kerr and you're relying on these older guys, it's kind of like a sigh of relief when everybody's upright at the end of the game, when you're relying on guys 35 years and up to be the primary drivers of your offense.
Let's go to our FanDuel game breakdown now and talk about the game last night, which is, of course, this segment always sponsored by FanDuel. We break down a game. It was the Rockets beating the Spurs, and they beat them in a second-half comeback, and they beat them with incredible defense in the fourth quarter and some bad shot luck from San Antonio, maybe even some bad process, just 14 points in the fourth quarter. But they really did it behind who I consider to be the number one X factor in the NBA this season, which is Reed Sheppard. When he's bad, they're bad, and they struggle, and they're limited. And when he's good, they're a really scary team. 21 points for him, a lot of those coming in the fourth quarter, including some crazy shots. That's what stood out to me. But what stood out to you about this game? What was line item number one?
There we go. Got me? A little bit reliant on the relying on the hotel Wi-Fi here. It's the best I got. So it's in and out a little bit. Reed Sheppard was incredible in this game. I think the thing that, from a team standpoint, that turned it around, you alluded to it, their defense, the defense that they played basically the last 15 minutes of the game. And it's not just, the Spurs missed shots, so you automatically go, they held the Spurs to 36% shooting over X amount of minutes. Like, that happens a lot. And if you really watch the game, you're like, actually, they just missed shots. That wasn't this. This was their defensive pressure, the number of switches they communicated, the amount of help they had on drives. They were swarming, aggressive, active with their hands, contesting everything. Super impressive defense. And their defense was so good, actually. You sit there and look at them during that run and you go, this is a team that can legitimately contend to win the Western Conference. And they've been up and down a little bit with this throughout the year. Offense, I still don't always love, but their defense was so good. And then they got contributions from other guys besides Durant and Şengün when they had to have it. Reed Sheppard, Jabari Smith was fantastic in this game down the stretch as well with shot making. So it was a little bit more balanced offensive production tied into this incredible pressure defense, getting contributions defensively from all over the place. So impressed. They're down 14 with 2 minutes to go in the third quarter.
Yep.
And Spurs were rolling. The Spurs were doing what they wanted to offensively. They were really, and their defenses can be elite. So they were doing a good job in the Rockets. All of a sudden, the Rockets, just defensive pressure, changed the tone of the game. Spurs having a much more difficult time getting into sets. The ball was being pressured out, getting pushed toward half court as the shot clock was winding down because of all the denials and the deflections, and it completely disrupted the Spurs offensively. At exactly the same time, other guys stepped up and made shots when the Spurs were trying to do a really good job on Şengün and Durant, prevent them from winning the game. Other guys stepped up and did it. Nobody, bigger than Reed Sheppard.
So, and I like that you said this because, yes, Reed Sheppard to me was the story, and he hit some crazy shots. I want to talk about all of the crazy shots he had because he had a couple in a row that were just insane. But you also get two huge shots from Jabari Smith. You get a big one from Şengün. And that's why I think this game's impressive. When you go and look at how many shots each guy took, very balanced last night from all your key shot takers on Houston, and they all got a chance to kind of contribute in the clutch, which I think is the most galvanizing type of win if you're the Rockets. But let's go to Reed Sheppard here. The crossover, he had so many shots that were impressive, but the one that stands out to me, late shot clock, he's kind of in a bind. The crossover to his left and get the shot up, he somehow had to rush the shot, but was also unbalanced. Do you know the one I'm talking about on the left wing? That shot to me was insane.
And that gave him, that was his second consecutive three. That one gave him the lead with 4:45 to go. And he gets off the ground. I've always talked about, he elevates on his mid-range when he's going toward the basket. It's a little bit different. Like when you're backpedaling a little bit or you cross over from that deep with a bigger defender in front of you, you're not going to elevate that much. This was more about quickness. Like he quick shot the defender who was absolutely within arm's distance. He quick shot him. And the clock, I think they said on the broadcast, it was down to like 4 when he went up to release it, and a clock at 4, and it's right when he went up. So he might have had a little bit more time, but he realized where he was on the court, he was going to get himself in trouble if he even took one more dribble. So he just literally surprised the defender with the distance, going to his left off the crossover, like a really deep contested shot, hit it, gave them the lead. He had also hit the 3. They were down 5. He hit the 3 on the previous possession to cut it to 2, which was more traditional catch and shoot variety. This one was like a confident shot. And he wasn't done because then the very next basket he made was the next trip. He makes this wild reverse layup that goes all the way up off the top of the glass. So Reed Sheppard had this little mini 8-point run exactly when the Rockets needed it. What I thought was really cool, take a look at the reaction of Kevin Durant during that stretch by Reed Sheppard. He did the same thing with Jabari Smith, like just as so exuberant in his celebration and kind of giving you to feel like he thought this was a big game, big moment, and he was doing everything he could to give those role players confidence. And Reed Sheppard was sensational during the critical stretch when they turned a 5-point deficit into a lead.
His upside is kind of insane. By the way, defensively, I know he's tough. The big question for him is, can he hold up at all defensively? Last night, he came up with a huge steal that was really important to the game with the distance. Got blocked, but Houston rebounded it and put it back in. If you're not a good defender, you have to be a great defensive playmaker. And he made plays defensively, I thought, last night, just when it mattered in the clutch. But his offensive ceiling leg, to me, it's like, I don't know what the limit is for him because his shot, I believe in as much as anybody's shot, and he has the confidence. His confidence is honestly insane, like a psychopath's confidence.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And particularly when, he didn't shoot it particularly well his rookie year. He really never established himself solidly as their backup point guard to get those minutes. And look, a lot of young players go through that. He went and, played this summer in Vegas, and I think that was important for him. And the one thing I can say is even last year when he wasn't really locked into those minutes, you could hear Ime Udoka when you talked to him. It was obvious how high they were on him, what they were seeing. It just wasn't translating quite to the games. Everything changed with the Van Vliet injury. So now there's this opening for him. It's almost like we're going to play. We have to play him. So I don't know what his season would have looked like if Van Vliet was out there every night. It wouldn't have looked like this because the opportunity wouldn't be there. But now he's good to go. It's amazing what those moments do for you. It's not like, oh, he's going to at some point now go back to being like this iffy, like fifth guard. We play him some nights, sometimes we don't. He is in the rotation all season. He will be in the playoffs. He's going to have big moments for this team in the playoffs. They need his three-point shooting. But to your point, the defense now has gotten so much better with his ability to stay in front because his hands are always incredibly active. They always have been. As a college player, they were last year. And I don't understand where they come up with steals sometimes. He gave him one steal. He had 3 or 4 plays that he made with his hands that led to turnovers. Yeah. To me, a couple of those should have been steals as well.
Falls into somebody else's lap.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. I thought he had 3 or 4 in the game. I looked at the box score after the game. Like, how did he have one steal? Because he had like 4 plays in the middle of the third quarter to fourth where he directly led to that turnover by San Antonio because of his activity level with his hands. So now he's no longer looked at as, oh, let's pick on him, attack him, where maybe the coaching staff's like, oh, we got to get him off the floor. They're not worried about that anymore. He's good enough defensively, and he has now become a critical piece offensively. So he's 20 minutes a night pretty much, like most nights. On the slow nights and on the good nights, he's going to be closer to 30 minutes.
Well, his best games of the year, and this is up there with him, especially the fourth quarter, late third, fourth quarter. San Antonio and twice against Denver. I think that's important. I don't know if there's something to it or if it's just a coincidence, but it is important because that's where you're going to need him to be best. And then this is a big run right here for Houston because a week ago they just lost to Oklahoma City. That was last Thursday. And they had lost, 6 of 8. They're in a slide. Things weren't looking good. Since then, they beat Minnesota, got a win against New Orleans, and beat San Antonio. Minnesota and San Antonio are big-time wins, righting the ship a little bit and settling them back in the standings. For a second there, they dropped to the 7 seed. They're back up to the 4. I feel like this was important for Houston. Is there anything else from the Houston side of this you want to talk about?
Yeah, there is. And it's to me the final piece where you say they could potentially win the West. And it's this. More consistency in the threat level or improvement in the threat level of Amen Thompson.
Yeah.
Offensively, where because it's still like he gets left, teams dare him to shoot. It's like still this hole for them. And look, he always has good stat lines. Did it again last night. 16 points, 10 boards, 6 assists, 2 blocks. It's a typical Amen Thompson night. But here's the thing. Durant Şengün gets so much attention. You don't have a choice but to throw an extra defender at both of those guys. Okay? everybody else kind of is really, I think, doing a nice job in their lane. Jabari Smith, we talked about. Reed Sheppard, we talked about. Okogie knows what he's out there to do. Like Clint Capella knows what he's out there to do. Tari Eason, like everybody kind of knows this is my spectrum of what I can be on a given night, and this is what I'm asked to do. And they're thriving in those roles. Amen Thompson, like it could be so much more offensively if he was a little bit more impactful, because the times he gets the ball when there's these driving lanes and gaps and space, if he ever gets to that point, I don't know if it's going to happen this year. You never know. He's so young. He could have like a series of games where all of a sudden he breaks out, where he's more confident with his mid-range, more confidence when he gets all that time on a three-point shot. It's like the one component left, because he does so many things to help you win, but there's so much more meat on the bone for him offensively, because there's opportunities because of what Durant and Şengün do to occupy guys. And they're not going to leave Reed Sheppard that much. So the ball comes to him, there's gaps, there's space, there's room to shoot. And it's like so kind of iffy and hit or miss with that component of his game. That is the last piece for the Rockets. As that improves even more, they're going to be formidable, man. They're a team that is going to have it all. They can defend you, star talent offensively, role players doing their thing. Amen Thompson can be a star some nights offensively. Some nights he just blends in. And that's what they've got to get more of, those nights when he's a little bit more of a star.
Well, one reason that he might be able to spread his wings a little bit or just find those gaps, because I agree with you, it's all about finding gaps with him. And he had a great one yesterday, like right down the middle, where he split two defenders and got to a bank shot from straight on and one. But those types of gaps he has to find. Steven Adams' injury is a big deal. You know, he might be out all the way up until the playoffs. They're calling it a pretty nasty ankle sprain or ankle injury. So it's not the type that you're out for 2 weeks. Sounds like it's more like going to be counted in month plus 2 months. And he's such a big part of what they do and so important. And taking him out, they're in the same boat I think Denver's in, albeit to a little lesser extent since it's just one guy. I guess two if you count Fred VanVleet, where because he's out, you're worse. But it also forces guys like Amen Thompson, Reed Sheppard now to have to be better and more aggressive at everything else. And it could pay off for them in the long run, where those guys get a little bit extra confidence and rhythm, because the leash gets extended when you lose a key piece of your team.
Totally agree with that. It's major for them. Like they need all hands on deck to be able to navigate this incredibly, top heavy Western Conference, how good those teams are. I want to make one final comment and we'll move on. I saw a comment here by somebody says, I want to see Amen in the post more. I love that. Because I don't know why that hasn't happened, other than, Şengün's down there a lot. And then they added Durant, who's more of an isolation player. So like, you're not going to have Amen down in the post when Durant's trying to isolate. I don't understand why this hasn't become more of a priority to this point for them anyway. There's a lot of mismatches for Amen Thompson when he catches the ball with his back to the basket at 10, 12 feet and starts to back in. He's so quick off the spin with a guy like hit him in the back with their forearm. He's so quick to spin toward the rim and elevate immediately. It's so quick off his feet. If he gets a single coverage, he can score on most guys his size or smaller. And if he gets traffic coming at him as he starts to make that move, he's a good enough passer that he can beat you. To me, that is something that should be explored more. I almost never see him down there. Everything he does is from a face-up position on the catch, and then he goes downhill and these gaps and drives, or he slashes from the weak side, or he goes in transition. How about the half-court set that's designed to give him the ball 2-3 times a half with a favorable matchup down there and see what teams do to react to it? It to me, especially when Sheppard and Durant are on the floor together, because you're not going to leave either one of those guys on a catch and shoot. So now you got really tough decisions to make. I just think there's opportunities to win those, and they haven't really even explored that yet.
I agree.
That's the part. That's a big area of growth for him going forward.
It's a big area of growth for him, but also for the Rockets. And I think that last part is what I hang on is I don't know how dynamic they focus on their offense. And that's the thing that maybe they're going to have to do. But I'm with you. They have enough shooters. If you put the ball on a guy like Amen Thompson, I think he can be a great passer. You put the ball in his hands and let him grow through some stuff. It'll pay off in the long run. But I don't love the same thing with Şengün, that I feel like they leave things on the table, leave talents on the table because they have so many mouths to feed. but we'll see what they do. All right, let's take a break because we got to keep it moving. On the other side, we got to talk about the Lakers and the Nuggets game last night. I didn't have a ton of notes, but you said you do. So I'm very curious to hear what you had to say about that one. And then a couple big scoring performances. We'll get to both. First, every Friday from 6 to 7:30, it's NBA Happy Hour on FanDuel, your pregame for the weekend. We're talking limited time specials you won't want to miss, boosts, bonuses, surprises, all dropping on the app during happy hour. I think this is a cool idea. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app to see the week specials. Then make your move before the shot clock expires at 7:30 Eastern. It's the perfect way to start your weekend. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern, only on FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA.
Must be 21 or older and present in select states. For Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.
You know that moment, the one where you realize you left your favorite sunglasses at the beach, on the roof of your car, or at a gas station 3 states away? Well, we've all been there. But then you can find out about Shady Rays. They've changed the game. They're sunglasses that are made for real life, seriously good-looking, polarized, durable, and not stupidly expensive. And here's the wild part. If you lose or break them, even on day one, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair, no guilt trip, just replacements. They got a wide variety of different sunglasses to choose from and a whole bunch of different colors, so you're certain to find the ones that you want. And you can now wear them. Wear your sunglasses without fear on hikes, at concerts, on a boat, wherever it is. Shady Rays is eyewear that has your back. We've teamed up with Shady Rays to bring you an exclusive offer. Head to shadyrays.com and use the code AC35 for 35% off of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. All right, back here, segment 2 of the All-NBA show. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. We got a Knicks special coming up tomorrow. We're going to have Tim Fun Friday, and then we'll have Mark Stein, who's reporting back from Europe over the weekend. So lots of good stuff coming up on the channel. Legs, Nuggets Lakers last night, kind of a good game in that the Nuggets went up huge at the end of the first half behind Jamal Murray's 26 points. He was absolutely on fire. And they had a crazy run at the end of the half with Jamal Murray capitalizing on it by hitting a heave at the very end. So they go up 14 points. But in the second half, the Lakers just decided, trap Jamal Murray. Let's just take the ball out of his hands, 2 guys on him at all times, and let's see if Denver has any remaining healthy players that can punish. The answer was absolutely not. And on the other end, Luka Doncic put on an absolute masterclass.
Yeah, Luka was unstoppable. But really where this game turned was the defensive strategy against Jamal Murray. He torched them in the first half. This is a really good win for the Lakers because I've seen games this year with the Lakers when they're getting torched on the defensive end of the floor in the first half and they fall down double digits, or in this case, I don't know what the biggest lead was, 17, maybe something in that round. I don't think they ever got it to 20, but I've seen the Lakers just completely kind of go through the motions at that point. They didn't do that, but it took something they had to change strategically. And what they changed was Luka Doncic kind of primarily guarding Murray, and basically anytime Jamal Murray started to creep into the scoring zone with the ball, they just ran somebody at him.
Yeah, whether there was a screen or not. It
didn't matter what it was, and they completely sold out to this defensive strategy, basically saying, I dare the rest of these guys to beat us. Now, the Nuggets had 71 points in the first half. They scored 36 in the second. They literally cut their production in half. And Jamal Murray got really tired. He got worn out, and is because he had 2 points in the second half because of this strategy. And here's what was smart about it. If you try to put Luka on Jamal Murray initially, you have to send a second guy because
so it helps to everybody to know, like, we're sending help.
That's what I'm saying. It literally clarified for everybody on the Lakers
could be
what we have to do now. Because think about it. If he was on somebody else, now I know that they're obviously missing, they're missing Jokic, but Peyton Watson's been on a scoring binge. You got Aaron Gordon. Like, if Luka's in that matchup, you're going to have to run somebody at that too. The difference is then you've got only 3 defenders left to play 4, and one of those guys is Jamal Murray. This way, it was like, no, since we have to help anyway, let's put him on Jamal Murray so that now we know that the guys coming in, the other 3 guys can zone up, and the threat level out of that double team is not nearly as big as if one of those guys was Jamal Murray getting the pass out of the double team. And it worked. It worked like a charm. So really, to me, Adam, it came down to this. The double team strategy on Jamal Murray was completely effective. The double team strategy on Luka was completely ineffective. I thought they had too many situations where they made his decision-making so easy and his reads so easy that it virtually was impossible for them to guard him. I didn't like where they were coming at Luka from with the double team. When he was in the post, I didn't like sending the big from block to block.
The worst thing you can do. Yeah.
To allow the lob to him. Like, he's literally looking right at Jackson Hayes. Like, okay, here comes Zeke Naji. Let me just throw it up to the rim. There's no way that the top guy could sink down that fast, Aaron Gordon. Like, or they would double him out on the perimeter off a ball screen where now he had like a very easy cross-court skip pass to a guy for a wide open 3. I thought the game was super simplified for him because he saw the double teams coming a mile away. The spacing was really good on the part of the Lakers, and Luka picked them apart as a scorer and a playmaker. On the other end, Jamal Murray was completely bottled up by the double team, and Denver couldn't really solve that.
The other thing Denver can't do right now, and they played 8 guys last night. They're 11 games in now, I believe, to the Jokic being out. This is his 11th game. They started off pretty decent, getting some impressive wins. But I think when a team loses this many players, it's Jokic, Christian Brown, Cam Johnson out of the starting lineup, and then of course Big Val, their other center, off the bench. When you lose that many guys, eventually a team is going to scout you because you have too many weaknesses now. That's too many players in your rotation to lose. You're going to be limited. And I think over this last 3-4 games, teams have figured out that Denver can't rebound. They've been out-rebounded in 9 of the 11 games since Jokic went down. And that the gap, it's not that they're just getting a little out-rebounded. They're getting crazy out-rebounded. Last night they got out-rebounded by 20 rebounds. The game before that, it was 20 as well. And I think this is the thing. Trap Jamal and just send guys to the glass because they can't rebound and they can't get scoring and enough scoring from other people. And this is why it's been a good story with Jokic out. Until he gets back, I think they're figured out. They're kind of solved at the moment, this new version of him, and I don't expect Denver to win too many more games.
Well, look, what did you put the over-under on? If you said he was going to be out 15, you put the over-under win total. I think you said
6. Yeah, 6 or 7, something like that.
Yeah, they've already done it. So, it's not like it's not like the rest of this is house money while he's out. Like, you got to keep winning some games, figure out a way to win some games. But I agree with you, man. It's tough. And if I watch this film and I'm one of their upcoming opponents, I'm sorry, man, but I'm going to copycat some of this.
100%. Just double team Jamal, put big bodies out there,
hit him with blitzes.
Yeah.
And it's not like they're running out at him at half court where he can give it up. And it's a tough recovery. And 4-on-3 at that point you're going to lead to something good. They were waiting until he started to get lower, like he's about to go. And then all of a sudden, here comes somebody running over and they're right in his lap. Yeah. By that point, by the way, a lot of times you're like in that 10-second or inside of it shot clock mark. I just thought it was really effective. There's no doubt that was, I'm assuming, give credit to JJ Redick, but he's got a staff over there he's listening to that could have come from who knows, Scott Brooks, Nate McMillan, Greg St. Jean. You don't know where it came from, or maybe it's just JJ. But somebody was like, listen, man, this guy's got 26 at half. Who are we worried about beating us besides him? Let's go get the ball out of his hands. And we're going to start with Luka on him because it makes it more defined that we're doing it. Our rotations are better, work like a charm. I'm copying that strategy going forward against the Denver Nuggets. Make Jamal Murray give it up every chance you have.
Well, let's move on now to a couple quick hitters here. I know we got to get you out a little bit early today with a production meeting, but Immanuel Quickley, we talked about the Raptors blowing out the Golden State Warriors 145-127. Warriors are the Raptors, man. They can put up a big number on you because they can force so many turnovers. They can play a top pace that when they're on, that number is going to be huge. It was 145 last night, but Immanuel Quickley had 40 points, on 11 of 13 shooting, 7 of 8 from 3, 11 of 11 from the foul line, and oh, by the way, 10 assists. Statistically, one of the greatest offensive games ever played.
Yeah, seriously. 34 minutes, by the way. You forgot to mention that. It's not like this was an overtime game. Dude played 34 minutes, 40 points on 13 field goal attempts. I mean, that's all you really need to say. And by the way, also 10 assists, because, guys get on heaters like this. They're not looking to set people up. Like when you have one of those nights where all you need is to get your hand free and it's going in, like you just get that look in your eye. Champagne kind of got into that mode.
Oh, man, for sure.
Antonio, right?
We didn't even mention him,
yeah. Look in his eyes, looking over at the bench, kind of grinning, like, yeah, man, like I know the feeling as a shooter. Like, it's like you can't wait to touch it again.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, Adam, when guys get like that, the playmaking's like, who cares about the playmaking, man? I've got the free reign now. I can shoot any shot I want. It's the ultimate heat check. He's still a final time for 10 assists. And what a night for them offensively. You're right. I mean, they had their lowest quarter was 29 points. They had 3 quarters over 37 points. 3. So the Warriors at no point figured out how to slow them down. It was Quickley's night. Really, really special. Got some help too. And how about how well Mamu's played? Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram, really, really good in this one as well. They got it across the board, but Quickley was the star.
And I love, and it's our guy, Andis Brown, who always in the chat. We always appreciate him, but I got to kind of chuckle here when he says, if Quickley plays like he did last night, then the Raptors could be dangerous. And I always love this one. It's like the guy scores 60 points or 50 points. Like, hey, man, if he brings that every night, you're like, yeah, one of the best scoring performances of all time.
I'm gonna take that statement and basically kind of change it a little bit. If any player in the NBA plays like Immanuel Quickley did last night, that team is immediately a threat.
That's exactly right. But it was a great game, man. It was incredible. And then we'll go to the Western Conference here. The Minnesota Timberwolves. I love the Western Conference. You can get a team that gets a bunch of just impressive wins in a row, goes on a tear, and then they'll match up with the Jazz and drop the game. And this is what happened to the Timberwolves last night. But they dropped the game 127-122 because Keontae George did it again. 43 points on 15 of 28 shooting, 6 of 13 from 3. Now, part of this is Keontae George has an ultimate green light on this team to do whatever he wants. He took 28 shots, which is kind of a ton. But you know what? He was efficient last night.
Well, so looking at the two guys, Quickley and Keontae George, big nights in a different way. If you just wanted to talk about like efficiency and like watch that shooting display, then it would be Quickley. Like you're looking at that. The guy barely missed a shot the entire game, didn't take a ton of shots. If you wanted to see like the full repertoire of shot making, then you want to see Keontae George. First of all, he's got a really beautiful, like natural shooting stroke. Like it just comes off his fingertips. He's got great finish on his shot. He gets up, he leans back a little bit, which makes it harder to contest. So he's got this deep shooting component. He takes a lot of threes any night he wants to. He's also got like all kinds of stuff at going toward the rim. He shoots these high running push shots like off the top of the it's unreal, man. He's got scoop shots, transition. He's the whole package, man. This guy's averaging over 24 points a game, and that was a career high for him last night against a really good team and a team that typically defensively can figure out how to slow a guy down when he starts cooking. They really couldn't slow him down. And Keontae George basically won this game practically single-handedly for Utah because Minnesota had no answer for him. So two young guards having big nights. This guy's only 22 years old, Adam. He's 22 years old, and he's already averaging 24 points a game. And last year, the narrative was a lot different that he didn't know how to play. Like, was he a winner? And sometimes I guess his shot selection can be questionable, but on this team, he has to do it. I'm more enamored with talent. I saw his post-game interview last night, by the way. Even that part of him has matured so much from last year to this year, just the way he talks. And give him credit, man. He's worked on his game. He's got a lot of confidence, and he has a lot of game.
He almost reminds me of Cam Thomas out in Brooklyn a little bit, and just how like he gets the ball and you could just tell he's in such a groove and he's such a score first type mindset guy. But to your point, man, he hits him. By the way, Nurkic had a monster triple-double, 16, 18, and 10 as well, and that's against Rudy Gobert. Pretty good defensive player. Nurkic has these great games out of nowhere every now and then. You never know what you're going to get. Minnesota, by the way, just quick standings update. Minnesota drops down to the 7 seed. This is the Western Conference. 4 games ago, They're right up there at the 3 seed. They led the hottest team in the West. A little stumble, and here you are in the 7 seed. It's hilarious. Fan bases are going to have to not panic out West this year. Your fan bases are going to be very tested.
Right now, the 3 hottest teams in the Western Conference are the Houston Rockets, Phoenix Suns, and Portland Trail Blazers. They're the 3 hottest teams in the West. The top is no joke. This is going to be a fascinating second half of the season to see how all of this plays out, who positions themselves the best. Obviously, we're waiting to see do any of these teams get active at the trading deadline that are already listed as like contenders or like certainly top half of the West. Do any of those teams make a move? We're waiting to see that over the next few weeks as well. But there's no night off. There's no night off, man. Because even as you can see Minnesota last night, you get the Jazz, but you get a super young, talented guard that got into his mix against you and you couldn't put him back.
I didn't prep you for this one before, but I just thought of it. It would be worth asking is Jalen Green made his return the other day. He had 12 points, I think, in 20 minutes. Not nothing too noteworthy, but I am curious what you expect or what you're looking for, I should say, as he returns to this team. They're the 6 seed, 27-17, one of the great stories in the NBA right now, but they get back this big piece. What are you looking for?
Yeah, look, you have to adapt to him. The thing I like about him, he can morph to off the ball. He doesn't need to have the ball every trip to be effective and running high ball screen after high ball screen. He's got shooting ability as well, and he can spot him and shoot. He can get it late in the clock. If you give it to him, he can get into a step back shot. He's got explosive blow by ability, but it's definitely a guy that you've got to adapt to because he's most effective when he's playing that way. Super aggressive, attacking, scorer. So I'm curious to see the fit. They desperately needed more scoring pop off their bench. So, and for now, he's going to be coming off the bench. Eventually he's going to be a starter, but it's one more guy in your rotation that's a high-level player. They needed the depth desperately. He gives it to them. They've already been a great story. I don't see any reason to think why they're not going to be better with Jalen Green, even though there may be some feeling out period early on where there might be some nights where it's a little bit disjointed as he finds his rhythm again.
Man, I did not look at their schedule. Their schedule is insane. So they don't play again until Friday. You're on the road. They go from Philly to Atlanta, but you get 3 days off in between. So they're going to get some practice time in to work him into this and kind of figure some things out, which is great. And then you come home and have 9 of the next 10 at home. 9 of the next 10 games. And by the way, you get an all-star break in the middle of that. So what a time for him to come back when you're going to get maximum amount of like calibration time.
And listen, 9 out of 10 at home, and they are 2 wins back of the Denver Nuggets for the 3rd seed.
Nuggets still waiting for Jokic. Yeah.
When you get a homestand like that, and you got Denver without Jokic, you Lakers who have been pretty inconsistent. You just had the injury to Steph Curry, and then they're kind of like on your heels. Like, this is maybe time over the next 3 weeks. Could the Phoenix Suns potentially get into a position where now you go into this last home stretch after the All-Star break where they're actually in position to host a first-round playoff series? It would be the team story of the year if the Phoenix Suns are able to pull something like that off, and would probably guarantee Jordan Ott Coach of the Year.
I think this will be a huge stretch. We're probably going to talk a lot of Phoenix Suns here over the upcoming little bit. We have one super chat, Atticus. What are the people saying today? The last Bonarek says, if only the Warriors had a guy on their bench who can score and be explosive and you resort to him. We talked a little bit about this, man.
Listen, man, I've talked about this for 4 years.
Yeah, it's your guy.
I don't know. Here's the thing. I've known Steve Kerr as long as just about anybody in the league right now. Right? We came out the same year. I've literally known him since the pre-draft camp, trying to get into the league, both of us, right? I trust the guy. He's smart. They're seeing it every day. I'm not seeing Jonathan Kuminga every day. So I'm looking at it from the outside. There's no doubt he has splashy ability that you see night to night. There's a reason he has not been able to get past the audition phase for the Golden State Warriors. And he's still into this, let's see what he's got tonight phase and then shelve him for a while. It is what it is. It's never going to change. And now, I fully expect him to be moved by the trading deadline. But when you listen, give him credit for this. He just sat there for a month without even being looked in his direction. And now you go, oh, Jimmy's down. Hey, JK. Hey, somebody wake up JK.
Yeah.
JK, you're in. Oh, go get 20 in 21 minutes. That's not easy, man. I don't care who you are. That's not an easy thing to do. when you've been sitting there that long. And it's just like, it speaks to his ability, but there's other things that speak to other stuff with him.
This is like a bad sitcom or something, a bad rom-com where now they're forced to figure it out together on a team.
That's great.
Neither side likes the other side. All right, cue that outro music. We appreciate everybody hanging out with us. You can tune into ESPN tonight, catch the Charlotte Hornets, the Cleveland Cavaliers. You catch Legs on the Call. We're also going to be back tomorrow doing a special on the New York Knicks. They deserve a little 15, 20-minute special with the Knicks insider. They're the dean of Knicks Film School. And then Friday, I'm back with Jason Tim. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that like button. We'll see everybody next time.
We all silly like the mayor.